What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today this is going to be part 4, I believe, of the PW80 build series, and it's been a while, probably a month or two, since I've posted part 3 of the PW80 video or build series, and I've been working on my big bike all day, cleaned both the axles on it. What else did I do? New sprockets and chain guider thing. And then, so today for the PW, I'm not real sure what we're gonna do. I know I'm gonna put the front, like the triple clamps, the forks, and the front tire on, and probably the handlebars and all that, just the front end. And then I've got a couple miscellaneous parts that I also need to put on it, so we'll get to that. So the first part that came in is this little nut right here, and it went on the engine mount, I believe. And if y'all watched my last video, you would have seen that I got this little nut stuck in the T-handle. So we ordered a new nut so that we can put it on the side engine mount. And in the last video, or I think it was actually part 2, I don't know which one it was, but I got new parts. But I got the spark plug, and there was a little silver cap on it. I don't know if it's still up here. Hold on. The spark plug on the left is the one for my 110, and it had this little silver cap on it that you can screw on and off to get to this. And on the one for the PW, this one, there was a cap on it, but we couldn't get it off. We had to get pliers and twist it off, but it came off, so now we're gonna put this in the PW. And I actually have to go grab the socket for the spark plug, because none of our regular sprockets are tall enough to fit it. One of the most annoying things about working with my bike right now is all our stuff is up in the driveway, and our trailer is down here in the cul-de-sac. So I've got to walk back and forth because I got a sprocket, but this was too big, so I gotta go get something smaller that it'll fit on, which is kind of annoying. So we've got our shocks here, and the caps, I screwed them on when I put oil through them, but I gotta take them off because it won't slide through. You gotta put the cap over that, and then I also gotta get the nut for the steering stem, so we'll get those in. So we gotta take the top of the fork off. This is the wrong side. And I'm not positive which side goes on what, but, well, actually, I'm pretty sure this is the right fork because it's got the brake line, and on like 90% of bikes, the brake line follows down to the right fork. It does on my 250 and it does on my 110. So I'm gonna put this one on the right side, and then when we go to put our front tire on and handlebars and all that, if it is backwards, then I can flip it around. But now, we're just gonna, oh yeah, it is, because this little thing right here, I don't know if y'all can see that, little thing right here is for the brake. So now we just run this through here. All right, and then we put the cap back on to hold it in place. All right, that's not all the way in right now, but it holds. So now we gotta do the other side. Now we grab this side, and then we gotta twist the screw off. All right, so that one is also now in. So now that we've got the front end on, I'm going to grab tools to tighten down all the bolts, like the lower triple clamps, the steering stem nut, and then also the bolts on top of the forks. So I've ratcheted the top of the forks down. These were 17 millimeters, and then this one is what is it? It's a 9/16, which I don't know if that is in metric, but it fits for the top of the steering stem. So we'll tighten that down. Still turns, so we're good on that. Since everything up front is all tight, this was the 9/16 and this was also 9/16. Both of these were. So those are all tight. So I think I'm gonna put the front axle on, which also then needs the handlebars, which have the front brake caliper or drum brake shoe thing, whatever it's called for that. So we'll get that on next. So before I can get the front tire on, I got to put the handlebars on because the front brake drum or whatever goes on the tire, and then if I didn't put that on, then that would just be flopping around. So we got the handlebar mounts, and they're just little screws. They go down into there, and then there's little nuts and lock washers that go on the bottom of them. So to get the handlebars on, we have to take the top bar clamps, slide them in, and then tighten down these 4 screws. All right, and then these I believe will be 10 millimeters, but that means I gotta go grab the T-handle. So I grabbed the 8 and the 10, and that is a 10. But one thing to make sure when you're putting your bars on is, see these little grooves? The grooves are meant to go under the clamps, and that just keeps it from spinning. And also, before you fully tighten it, get it rotated at the angle whichever you want to ride at. So I grabbed these 2 little screws, which are Phillips, that go right here and here on the throttle body, which means I have to go get a Phillips from the trailer. Actually, before we put the throttle body on, we got to put the grip, which has the throttle tube in it. And look right there, that little hole is where this little cable will feed into. So the throttle cable, you can't see that, is in here, but to get it in, we had to use this little plastic piece right here, this plastic circle, and pry it back so that this part where my finger is would fall down into its groove. But now we should be able to put our screws under here. So with the screws installed to the throttle body, we're running the cable in front of the handlebars and through the middle of the triple clamps to what, I don't know what it's called, but I'm calling it the splitter box. And when the missing one's in the middle, which is what that is, all right? But when you pull that, it pulls this one, and this one goes to the carburetor, which allows gas flow, and this one goes to the oil pump, which pumps oil into the gas, since it's a 2-stroke. So I got the main throttle through here, which went through here, but when I twist the throttle, see, it pulls both these forward, but then they don't go back. So I'm not real sure what to do. I think I may just try and spray some WD-40 down there, get things all nice and slippery. So see if that will free it up to where it will be able to move around. So I sprayed a tad bit of WD-40 down in there, and it moves, but if I'm going wide open, then I'm stuck wide open. So, and there's a cover on this, which is these 2 screws right here. There's a cover on that, so I won't be able to reach out and push that back in. So I think I'm just gonna put some like heavy duty grease in there. So I've got that pretty good packed with grease, as you can see, and it moves, but it's pretty sticky, and sometimes it gets stuck. So I'm thinking once it's running, just the vibrations of the bike will help it slide back down. But if it doesn't, then we may have to get new cables for that. Also, what I just thought about was this wire right here runs to, it looks, I'm not sure the technical name of it, but it looks like a piston in this little body right here. And since there's not gas in the carburetor's dry, so that piston may be like rubbing its metal against metal, which may not be slippery like if it was rubbing with gas in it, you know what I'm saying? So the splitter box, the cap of it is back on, and we're going to put the front end back on now. And we also got the kill switch wires, which are right here. We just ran them down the side of the frame to right here, and then 2 little plug-ins right there. Those tie up very nice. So Next, we gotta put the front tire on like so, but first we have to loosen that bolt up right there, which is an Allen, and then slide that in there, and then turn it this way, I believe, and it'll slide in the wheel, and then we'll mount the wheel. So we got the front brake drum and the wheel assembly. Now we just have to grab the front axle, and I already wiped all the old grease off of it, and then we are going to re-grease it and slide it in. Alrighty, we've got the front end on, the axle grease coming out right there, and then the front wheel spins very good. And we got the brake line routed through here, and then we also got this, and there's a little notch on the hub. You can kind of see it. There's a little increase right here, and then an increase back here, and it leaves a little slot for this to go down in, so that when you pull the brake, the drum doesn't rotate. And then the arm pulls the brake line like so. Now when we pull the brake stops. So now we are just going to tighten down the front axle, which is also this 9/16, which I also need one on the other side, because when I rotate it, it just sits and rotates. So let me go grab another 14. Now that the front end is completely on, I'm gonna grab the bar pad out of our parts, and then other parts, I'm just gonna grab the bar pad, and it should just slide right on. Next, what we're gonna do is the air box, which we also have our brand new twin air filter in, and then the air boot connects to the carburetor, and then we've got 2 screws, one right here and one right there, which are 12 millimeters, I believe, and they just screw right in. And then also when we connect this, I'm not real sure what this is called, but it squeezes it, and it is a Phillips head. So now we are just gonna screw this little clampy thingy down, and what that just does is just squeeze the air boot onto the carburetor to make a strong connection. And then our splitter box is running up under the air box. So then we're gonna tighten down the air box with this 12 millimeter. Next, we are going to put on our gas tank, and then maybe put some gas in it and see if it'll run. So fuel tank isn't on. We have a screw right here, and then the same screw on the other side. But first off, I have to cut this little zip tie right here that I had around my wires to keep them organized. And then we got the main fuel line going from the carburetor to the gas tank, and then we just take one of these little buddies and push it over to make sure that that stays on. Tuck the zip tie back up, and then we'll put these 2 screws in. So we are going to put the oil pump, or the canister for the oil pump, back on, because I believe this is the oil pump. Not 100%, but I believe, because this little line right here, I had no idea where it went. And then I remembered I had an oil pump, so I think it goes all the way back there to right there. But I have these 2 screws right here, which screw in right here, and then right in there. So I'm going to screw this in, which is tight. And I had to take the strap off the gas tank so that I could lift this up. So then I can tighten that one. And then I put the strap back on the gas tank. The bike is actually starting to come together pretty nice. I put a bunch of stickers on this. So, yeah. But, we're gonna go ahead and put the front fender on, which I believe is those 2, and then put one right there. So we've got the front fender back on, and you know, it's on there. But for anyone wondering or that owns a PW80 or is working on one or anything, the throttle cable runs behind the front number plate, all right, and then behind this little clip right here, down through here to the splitter box, which is up in here, and then that splits off to whatever. And then the front brake runs in front, down the side, through that, connected to that. So the next thing that I was gonna do was the fuel pump line, and it goes behind this side of the frame up through the middle. So I don't know if I can get you on angle, up in there, and then connects like that. So we assembled the whole, mainly most of the bike back together. We still have to put the back tire on and the air filter, but right now we are getting a valve stem remover so that we can try and do this back tire, because I've never done a motocross tire. I've done bicycle tires all the time, but I've never done a motocross tire, so this will be my first time trying, which should be a little interesting. So we're taking the tire off, and it is literally leaking water. Look how dirty that water is. It looks like milk. But we almost have gotten the first side, or actually we did get the first side off. Now we've got to get the other side off. We got the tire off, which was full of water. So now we have the rim, and that tube is trash. Show you the valve stem, it's literally like corroded. But we have a new tube right here. We got it off Rocky Mountain. But now we gotta go to the trailer to get the Dunlop that we ordered. Shout out to Dunlop, they hooked me up with all my tires. Honestly, the best tires in the game. So if y'all need tires, make sure to hit up Dunlop for the best tires. So here is our new Dunlop. We got the MX-53 for hard terrain, and just look at it, it's so much more beefy and just mean looking than that old tire. We're still working on this tire, trying to get it, because we've got the tube, if you can see it, right there. We've got the tube in front of the tire, and it needs to be behind the tire. And we're trying to get that behind the tire, and then we'll inflate it. So here is the tube that we finally got out, and that is the hole that was in it right there. All right, everybody, so we got the rear tire on the PW, and then we got the axle and the chain tensioners on. My dad's working on this chain tensioner real quick, just getting it to where we can put it on. And then we're gonna put the brake back on, and we've got the brake drum in there and the sprocket. So after that, it should just be put the chain on, change the oil, and put oil for the oil pump and the seat. So we're going to put the back fender on, and it's just 3 screws, one right here, and one up there. Actually, what we need to do is grab the little pull strap right here, and that goes under that screw and under this screw. All right, so as y'all just saw, we put that on there, and then this, I believe, is just to hold the drum still so it doesn't spin with the tire. But we gotta tighten this down, and then also put a cotter pin back on the top of that. And then the brake pedal right here, we got the spring over it, and then that just slides in there, and then there's a cotter pin that goes in up top. So we've got the back tire on with the axle and everything. We just got to put a chain on, but to put the chain on, we have to get to the front sprocket, which is in there. So we took out the 3 screws for the generator or ignition cover, sorry. And then next we got to take off the shifter, which is just a 10 mil on top, pull it off, and then we can pull this off and thread the chain through it. So I got the ignition cover off, and we're ready to put the chain on, but I figured I'd go ahead and put some oil in here. And I thought this tank that you're looking at was for the oil pump, but it turns out that is for the engine oil. And then over here, that one is transmission oil, and that one is 10 weight 30, whatever that means. And then this one right here it's just two-stroke oil. So we're putting some oil that's Kawasaki into a Yamaha, which is fine, but they recommend their brand, obviously, but still. So now we're just gonna pull out the primary dry chain right here, and we'll put it on. First, we need to open it, and then here's our lovely chain. And then we're gonna just put it on the front sprocket. Actually, real quick, we'll run it through here, and then put it on the front sprocket. And then just run it around that. And then we're gonna put this. That was not what was supposed to happen. All right, so there's that, and we're just gonna put our master link on. So we got the chain on, and where is it? The master link is right there. Got that on. So now we're gonna finish putting the engine oil into the tank right there. So we got a quart of just regular two-stroke oil, engine oil, in here, and then in the transmission oil, it's 10 weight 30 transmission fluid, but we don't have any of that, but there's still some in there because I haven't drained it. So I'm just gonna run that, and it'll be dirty, but I'll run it. And then maybe tomorrow or Monday, we'll be able to go get some new stuff and put that in there just to make it run a little bit better. So we got the exhaust back on, and we got oil in it, fuel in it. So now I think we're gonna try and start it. So as you just saw, the PW80 actually does run, but it's a little weird when you give it throttle. It dies and it idles fine, but the second you give it throttle, it dies and it won't run unless the choke is out. And the whole thing just needs fine tuning. We might need a new carburetor, or we might need throttle cables, or I don't really know what's happening with it, but it runs. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one.